Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broaden our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and as usual, I am here with Jason.
Hey, everyone.
What is up, my dude?
Oh, just hanging in there. Nice raining evening.
It is. It's a dark and stormy night.
Indeed.
For us to not talk about a horror film.
Yeah, I know. Bad timing.
Yep. Is what it is. We're talking about Push today from 2009. Little sort of like early teaser of the superhero boom, maybe, right? Yeah.
I think it came... we already had like Spider-Man and
Blade
X-Men and
yeah.
stuff by this time.
Directed by Paul McGuigan.
McGuigan, I think.
Sure. Sorry we butchered your name.
If we got your name wrong, please let us know.
But that'll be all kinds of fun to talk about, especially because you are not really a superhero-y guy.
I'm very, very, very casual when it comes to superhero films.
So I'm curious to see what you think about this.
Okay, all right. I will tell you that I had no idea this movie existed.
Yeah, it's an odd one.
Apparently, it kind of came and went.
It did, yeah.
At first, I had it confused with that Hayden Christensen movie, Jumper.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember it. Well, you know what? I'll save it for when we talk about the movie.
Okay.
Because I have a story, a whole life experience with this.
Oh, okay.
But first, we're going to talk about what we've been watching. And, we are part of the Prescribed Films Podcast Network.
Yep.
And we love it. And there's all these other cool shows you can go and check out. Swing by that page, look at all the other shows, find you some cool stuff to listen to pass the time, make your commute a little less boring, and find you some new films to watch that you can enjoy.
Yeah. Listen to us at work or any of the other pods on the network.
And when your boss comes and is like, what are you doing? Be like, bro, I'm listening to Genre Exposure. You're ruining the moment.
Yeah.
I just really need you to stop right now.
It's like, I'm still working. Just step off.
Step off. Just let
step
me be.
off, bro.
Yeah. You got to check them sometimes.
Uh-huh.
They wouldn't exist if you weren't doing the work, so.
That's right.
Yeah. Think about that. Meanwhile, what have you been watching?
Okay, I don't think I mentioned this. I watched this a little while back.
Okay.
But I think you saw Michael and I discussing it in our little message group. Fatal Games from 1984. A very, very minor horror film that has shown up on Shudder, Amazon Prime, one or the other.
So this is one of those abandoned slashers that got like snatched up?
Correct.
Yeah.
Directed by Michael Elliott. By this time, by 84, I mean, the slasher boom was already, people were getting tired of it, and it was just kind of, and this is definitely one of the more minor efforts. It's, although it does kind of tie in with the Olympics going on right now.
Oh, okay.
Of course, by the time this airs, the Olympics will be over. But anyway, if you still need your Olympic sports fix, you can watch this. But it's about these collegiates who are Olympic hopefuls.
Oh.
So they're, training and everything, and but someone starts knocking them off, which sounds kind of cool because you're thinking, okay, well, they're like in gyms and stuff, and there's all this sports equipment they can use, some creative ways to kill people. No, they pretty much just keep using a javelin, and it gets very boring.
Wow.
Very repetitive.
It seems like there's so many objects you could stretch to use.
The first javelin kill is cool. The dude's out in the field, and someone throws a javelin at him. Okay, cool. Then the second kill is also a javelin, and you're like, is this all gonna be javelins?
Yeah, like they could do like the bars, and they swing off, and you have like spikes under them.
Sure, or like weights.
The big ball thing that people throw, and like
the medicine ball.
Yeah, bash their heads in.
Killed by a medicine ball.
Why not?
You're right. Why not? Yeah. And there's also like some troubling suggestions that trans people are mentally unstable. Mm-hmm. So it's dated and not exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, that might be a minor spoiler. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's not a very good movie. I can't recommend anyone watch it.
Does it include people confusing Greek and Christian mythology, perhaps?
No? Not so much. I remember.
That's just a today problem, huh?
Yeah. Okay. That's a today problem. How about you? What have you been watching?
Nothing else? Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. Well, yeah. I mean, I have been watching House of the Dragon, and it's got one more episode to go. And it's quite good. Like, if you like Game of Thrones, maybe you didn't like the last season or whatever, and you haven't tuned into this, or maybe you didn't like the first season, because it was kind of slow. The second season kicks ass. It's excellent.
It's a big investment to get to another season, but...
Not really.
No.
No, I mean it only had one season, House of the Dragon. Okay. So only 10 episodes to watch to get to this one.
All right, we'll see.
I recommend it. I like it. Why are you so reticent about it? What's your problem?
I never liked Game of Thrones in general.
Really?
No.
How come?
I think have I discussed this on the podcast? I don't know.
Maybe I don't remember.
I don't know.
I never fucking listened.
It's long enough now that you know what. I'll tell it again. But I watched the first episode. I'm like, this is kind of cool. I'm kind of vibing on this. And the more it went, the more I'm like, you know what? I really just want is like Jon Snow and Tyrion just fucking like adventuring and doing cool shit.
Oh, okay.
And having a good time.
Like a Fayford and Grey Mouser type thing.
I want like some fucking Fritz Leiber stuff up in there. And then instead it's just like everybody fucking each other and
killing each other. And
once a season they have like a really cool fight. And
interesting.
So it's not my jam.
Maybe it was just too mature for you. Did you ever think of that?
Given the amount of like crude jokes and nudity, I would say that it's probably not too crude for me.
Well, I quite enjoyed it. I even liked the last season. But House of the Dragon, you get lots more dragon action, especially this season. I like it. It's good. I recommend it.
Cool. Let's see what I got. I have.
Oh, and you don't need to watch Game of Thrones.
Well, it is a prequel, right?
So, right, exactly. So
detached. Let's see. Let's get some. Actually, I don't really have anything great this time. Oh, okay. We'll get this out of the way first because it's weirder. I discussed these a little while ago in the stream of the universe of Zak Bagans, the paranormal investigator of Ghost Adventures that continues to churn out anything and everything to make a little money. I mentioned that when I went to Vegas last time on vacation, we went to his Haunted Museum, which was an interesting experience. And then I've been watching on and off the show that they made where they kind of it's weird, and I'll refresh everyone on this, but Eli Roth's involved. He's like a producer, but he's actually like an on-hands producer. And I think his angle is just he's trying to help younger, newer filmmakers get a chance to make something. And so they will take here's this haunted object that's in the museum. Here's the story about it. And then they will take that story and then make a standalone little 1 hour movie.
Okay, well, that's kind of fun.
That they run.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just this is some of the tales that have happened about this thing purportedly.
Right.
Which is a little weird because it kind of crisscrosses, right? Because usually Ghost Adventures, it's you're wanting to believe that it's real, even if it's probably faked. And then these are saying we're just going to make a fictional story about it.
Sure.
But whatever, they're weird, they're kind of fun. But they had one left I hadn't checked out because it was its own standalone that was a feature length. It's an hour and a half or so. So I checked out the Haunted Museum 3-Ring Inferno, which has to do with the story of this. It was a big carnival type thing, and it burned down. Everyone died, and there's all these stories about it being cursed and this and that. And there was a suit of one of the clowns that survived the fire, and it's supposed to be cursed and.
I'm thinking of that clown from Hell House now.
Oh yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah,
lots of good scary clowns in the world. So yeah, it's basically just this story about this family, this dad and his son, and they're kind of down on their luck. The mom passed away from an illness, and I guess she was kind of the key to everything. And once she was gone, the dad lost his job, and they fell on hard times. And so they're going to flea markets and stealing shit to get by. Which is a weird inroad, but in the course of them swiping stuff, they swipe a trunk with the clown suit in it, and then it begins to haunt them in their home and starts to kind of possess the father and get him to get a little murderous, and it's kind of just about the kid trying to work that out, and it's very slight, it's very nothing crazy or anything, but passable, entertaining for an hour and a half.
This reminds me of that movie Clown. I think Eli Roth produced that. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, that's the one where he puts on the clown mask, right? And it grafts to him.
Yeah, it won't come off. And,
That's fucking awesome. This one, but they're made for TV, so it's whatever.
Well, so did it air on the Sci-Fi Channel or something?
This aired on it's either Travel Channel or History. I forget because they have it's all under Discovery Plus now, right? But they shop them out to different ones, right? Because they have Discovery, Travel, Destination America. Somehow, in some way, all of them plus History Channel now mostly just show weird paranormal content.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's fun. It was fun.
All right.
It was all right. Worst ways to spend your time.
Sure.
And so then the other night, I'm Tubi diving. just going through the genres, and I'm like, what's a random film I can watch? Tiffany had fallen asleep early, as it were, and then I was just going.
Did you drug her chocolate milk?
No. I saved that for myself.
Of course.
But no, I was like, just going like decade by decade, and I was like, what? Something to watch. And I don't know how I ended up on this, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch the first Expendables movie again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I haven't seen any of those.
Do you have any feelings about those?
I hadn't seen them.
Yeah.
I have absolute indifference toward them.
I've never watched really any of them. I've seen the first one like in passing when other people were watching it, and I felt like I saw it enough to know it, but it's like my memory's hazy, so I was like, why not go back in? And it's like it's meant to be like this whole celebration, right, of like the 80s action stars.
Yeah.
It's cool.
In theory.
And it's one of those things where it's like, it's great anytime like action's going on. There's a big battle, there's like a big set piece thing going on. It's fucking awesome. Really cool. Really over the top. A little maybe too slick in some of the production aspects.
Yeah.
They're doing like it came out in 2010, so they're doing a lot of the 2010 era corner cutting, like lots of quick cuts when there's fist fights and
probably ramping and crap like that,
which is unfortunate because Jet Li is in the cast and we do get to see him do some cool stuff, but it's like it's not like when it's just a Jet Li film,
right? And
you really get to see the craft of his work.
It's shot well and choreographed and everything.
But then the problem is anytime they're not doing a thing and it pumps those brakes to try to do the drama, it's like these are the shallowest characters and it's so fucking dumb and no one cares,
right?
And
well, that's the thing people forget about a lot of 80s action films. They weren't dumb. I mean, there were plenty of dumb ones, but there were also a lot of good, smart ones.
Where they had good like characterization or like some kind of story going on with a little heart.
And they were never boring.
And the core of this first one is our character Lee, who's played by Jason Statham. He's got a girl that he was sweet on, and he was trying to hide his life as this like government agent-y merc for hire or whatever thing. And so she saw him as unreliable and got with this other dude, and this other dude is like abusive to her. And there's a weird like, will they, won't they get back together thing. And it's just like, dude,
who gives a shit?
What the fuck are you doing right now?
Man, is
like,
it me or is Jason Statham just really overrated?
Kinda,
am I alone here?
Yeah.
Any listeners, let us know. Is Jason Statham overrated?
I liked him best in like something like Crank. He's pretty good in that.
I never saw that either.
Those are fun.
God, I'm picky.
Yeah,
I'm such a fucking snob.
But it is what it is. I think I rated it like 3 stars on Letterboxd. Like, it's fun when it's going good and it's awesome, and when it's not, it's like a bore. But whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch the other ones now. I'm intrigued because this first one, it sets up Arnold Schwarzenegger as a character in there, but he's kind of more of like a background guy,
right?
And I know he gets more in it in the sequels, so. We'll see.
Maybe that will help.
I don't know.
I've always been more of an Arnold fan than a Stallone fan.
Yeah. Stallone's not my favorite. So.
Honestly, I really only liked one of his films, and that was the First Blood.
Yeah, First Blood,
which is actually a legit
fucking
good fucking movie. Yeah.
But yeah, that's me. Nothing too exciting, but we had fun.
Awesome.
All right, so Push 2009, directed by Jason. I'm gonna leave it to
Paul McGuigan. I'm pretty sure it's McGuigan. I think it's McGuigan now.
What you're probably gonna know
MacGyver.
him best for Lucky Number 11, right? I think that's his biggest.
That's
film,
probably his biggest, yeah.
If not this film, but this film kind of got buried, so. And then he's made some other stuff. He made that Victor Frankenstein flick in 2015. I never watched that.
That's supposed to be god awful.
I heard it's pretty bad. He did that like streaming version of Dracula that came out. What was that? A few years ago.
Oof. Yeah, I tried to watch that. Yeah.
I also did not watch that.
Oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. He directed a lot of Sherlock episodes.
Oh, I can kind of see that.
Yeah. Because the same guy that did Sherlock did that Dracula. Which is like crazy to me because he's a legit horror fan. He had this whole really cool series on classic horror films. And then he takes Dracula and just makes it it's bad. It's just bad.
Yeah. Well, is what it is. But yeah, so as usual, where are we gonna start? We're gonna start with what genre is this film?
I think first and foremost it would be science fiction. I say science fiction action.
Cool.
thriller, maybe.
You just guessed the IMDb listing.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
I'm getting good at this.
Wikipedia, whoever wrote the article there, they labeled it as a superhero thriller.
Oh yeah, it's definitely superhero-ish.
Yeah, so that was the question I wanted to pose to you: is the superhero tag like sufficient for this movie?
I don't think it's enough. Like you can't just say it's a superhero movie.
For sure. Because notably, it is an original property. It's not like pulled from a comic or anything.
Right. Although it does take elements from like X-Men and shit like that.
We'll get into that, but yeah, this is like the time-honored tradition of a like superhero plot in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. But I'll hit you with the synopsis. After his father, an assassin, is brutally murdered, Nick Gant vows revenge on Division, the covert government agency that dabbles in psychic warfare and experimental drugs. Hiding in Hong Kong's underworld, Nick assembles a band of rogue psychics dedicated to destroying Division. Together with Cassie, a teenage clairvoyant, Nick goes in search of a missing girl and a stolen suitcase that could be the key to accomplishing their mutual goals. Decent hook, I guess, right?
Sure.
You know, again, nothing flashy, but
you know,
it works.
It piques one's interest.
Sure. So yeah, the film starts, right?
Yeah, it starts in media res.
It does.
We get like a man. He's like leading this kid down a hallway.
We're in a hotel.
We're in a hotel. It's obviously his child, and this kid's name is Nick.
Yep.
And the father like gets him in a room and is like, "Hey, Nick, one day," and they're obviously like being chased by somebody.
Yeah.
And shit.
There's all these like quick cuts where it shows like men in suit running down a hall and repositioning, and
the housekeeper's looking at him all funny, like she's in on it. And he's like, one day a girl's going to give you a flower and you got to help her.
And he says notably that if you help her wholeheartedly, that's the key to saving us all.
Yep.
Which is a mysterious way to phrase that.
Yeah, and he's talking about how like the Division is after them. And these men come riding up on him. They got guns and shit.
And we get the first taste of the psychic powers because his father uses his ability to like rip open this little like crawl space, has a vent over it.
Mm-hmm. He's got like telekinesis.
Yeah, telekinesis.
And he starts throwing fuckers around while the kid's running around and hiding and stuff.
And the first thing you notice, and it's the thing I respect a lot about this film, is as much as they could, they tried to do the special effects practically.
Yeah, there's a lot of practical effects, which I appreciate.
He said that I tried to limit the use of digital effects as much as possible. And he referenced other great directors who never even had such technology at all, but they did just as many impressive things on their own, just with ingenuity and the right framing, the right, blocking the shot off, using little visual tricks.
Actually planning.
And in fact, the only scenes in the entire film that were green screened was the car chases. Because filming in Hong Kong on location, there was just no way for them to set up time to make that happen.
That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
No, that's a sentiment I definitely appreciate, and I appreciate the effort. And as far as like the effects go, and it's not bad. People getting thrown around and stuff.
And a lot of it's very basic like stream work. And,
sure, yeah, it's great.
Love it.
One dude who's obviously the big bad comes in there, played by, I may mispronounce his name, and I'm sorry, but I think it's Jimon Hansu.
Yes.
He plays Henry Carver. And he's cool. He's intimidating,
Yeah, immediately you can tell this is like the main boss.
Yeah, he's a big bad.
I love like the shot of him first coming into the hall, and he's just like walking real slow. Yeah. And he's got like that swagger to him.
He's well dressed.
Yeah.
And the kid's watching, and suddenly like his dad comes flying out of the room, and he's dead. Mm-hmm. And Carver comes out, and he looks at the kid, right? I mean, there's like eye contact.
Yeah,
there.
They see each other.
But like it doesn't really seem to give a shit, and he just walks off.
Yeah, like he doesn't even matter.
Which is a little confusing considering what we find out later. Mm-hmm. But, okay, whatever.
I think it's what we'll learn is it's the arrogance of his position. Because this dude is like king shit.
Sure, but we also find out eventually that they're collecting children who have psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. Specifically children. So why would they leave this kid, who is the offspring of a powerful psychic, why would they leave him alone? Wouldn't they want to grab him too?
You would think.
Anyway. So that's pretty much our introduction to the movie. We get a title card. Mm-hmm. We get some narration.
Yeah, this is from Cassie, we later learn. But
Yep. Dakota Fanning.
I'm going to say at her best.
She's great in
her
this.
child acting.
She's great in this, yeah.
She was
good.
Probably, 15, I think, when they shot this?
Yeah,
15, 16?
15. Yeah.
The character is 13, I think.
Yeah, she's 13. Yeah, no, she's great, and she and Chris Evans have really good chemistry.
Incredible. Like it's not like relationship chemistry, but like sibling. Like they have this really good like sibling bond between them.
This isn't The Professional.
Yeah. But I've put together a little summary of like what she says just so we can kind of get this out because this is all like very important like info dump.
It's a lot of info dump. Yeah.
So basically in World War II we kind of go with the whole like classic hook for any kind of story like this where the Nazis were experimenting with like making super soldiers and that involved manipulating psychic powers. Obviously, they got stopped before that got off the line, and echoing the real world, all other countries decided, you know what, let's abduct all this research, take it over ourselves, continue it, master it. You bleed into that whole Cold War thing, America and Russia trying to beat one another, and so this thing called the Division gets established, which is devoted to collecting, studying, and eventually working to make experimental drugs to enhance psychics, to make them into the ultimate weapons to control the world.
Right. And she says notably that they give this drug to kids to make them more powerful, but it usually kills them.
Yes, only a rare few have ever survived. But they categorize everybody based on their psychic abilities.
Yes.
And so I have this for us.
Okay.
There are movers, who can move objects with their minds, telekinesis. Pushers, who can control the thoughts of others. They can implant thoughts and memories into someone's mind.
Right.
Watchers, who get visions of the future, though sometimes they are imperfect and the future can be changed.
And these watchers are not involved with any vampire slayers in any way.
Yes.
Okay.
Bleeders, who can emit high-pitched sonic screams that can shatter objects, destroy them, and if you focus enough on a person, even burst their blood vessels. It's pretty fucking epic. Sniffs, who can track people and objects.
By smelling them.
Yeah. Also kind of by touch, too, though. They
but there's a lot as they're called, there's a lot of sniffing going on.
Yeah. Shifters, who can morph objects temporarily to look like other things. Wipers, who can wipe memories. Shadows can kind of exude a field that cloaks people from psychic detection or sensing.
Or locations.
And Stitchers, who can heal or unheal people.
Right.
Now, there is one more type that's not seen in this film, because this film got a 5-issue tie-in prequel comic.
Oh, okay.
Which I will discuss later, maybe after we've gone through the plot.
All right.
Because it does kind of spoil some things to
Okay.
discuss. But in that, there is a person who's this type that's like rare, that doesn't come up as often. And he is what's called a changer, who can shapeshift into other people.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. It's very kind of RPG-ish. Like these are classes and stuff.
What it really made me think of was like a White Wolf role-playing game,
yeah.
like Vampire the Masquerade, where like Vampire, you have, here's the clans. It's like there's the Dracula one, there's the Nosferatu one, there's the like Sexy Lestat one. And so in this one, it's like you're playing Renegade Psychics. Here's the Telekinesis one. Here's the Mind Reader. Here's this one. Right. Yeah. Like immediately they go through that, and I'm like, I want to play this game.
Yeah.
Let's go. But we pick up in Hong Kong. Well, actually, we start with the Division, don't we? Yeah, after this intro.
Yeah. We get...
we get like the little like...
Yeah, we're in some Division's secret research lab, and Carver, the dude from the beginning, is watching a woman getting injected by this like black fluid.
Yeah, this is said experimental drug.
Whilst at the same time, another woman is being led away. We don't really see her face.
Yeah.
But she like drops a marble that starts rolling along the floor. And this was a cool shot. I like this because we keep intercutting between the woman getting the drug and the marble rolling down the hallway. And it's kind of neat.
Which the girl is named Kira, and she's played by Camilla Bell.
Yes.
Sort of our tertiary protagonist.
I'm just going to say it. The weakest link in this movie.
Yes, she is.
She is so bland and forgettable. And I don't think it's just the actress's fault. I mean, it's the character is extremely underwritten.
She's got some other, acting roles.
Nothing that stands out.
I think was she in
that remake of When a Stranger Calls.
Yeah,
I
and
think
then
it's probably the biggest one.
She had like a small part in like one of the Jurassic Parks, I think. And
I thought she was in that Final Destination 4 movie for the longest time. She looks just like that girl.
I think more famous as a model.
Okay.
Overall, which says a lot in the scope.
I mean, she's very attractive.
But she is both the love interest and the MacGuffin, and she's really just more of a MacGuffin than anything in the film.
She's more of a prop than anything, honestly.
But notably, and we kind of already set it up because we said she is the the prop of the film, but she doesn't die.
Right. She flatlines for a minute, but then gets up. She knocks out the doctor, grabs one of those syringes, starts running down the hallway, and they're trying to shut all the doors, lock down, blah, blah, blah.
Down.
But that marble has rolled along, and as this door is sliding shut, the marble gets right in front of it to keep it from shutting.
Mm-hmm.
So Carver is kind of like going after her, but she opens up the door and runs out and loses
Escapes.
them.
Yeah. And then Carver immediately orders his men to kind of scramble all their resources to track her, find her. And he's also interested in some other people that have connections to her.
Yeah.
And now as we jump to Hong Kong.
Yes. And we get the title, it says 2 days from now, is what it says. And then we meet Nick, grown-up Nick, little kid from the beginning.
And it's Chris Evans.
It's Chris Evans. He looks so young.
He is. He's some prime Chris Evans. I think it's a post-Human Torch, but pre-Captain America.
Yes. Yeah, right in that middle area. And he's great. He's a legit great actor, very charismatic. You can't not like him. But it looks like he might... I thought it was Kowloon City, but Kowloon was already destroyed by this time. It was demolished. But
it's just a shitty part of town.
Yeah, it's just a shitty part of town. If you don't know anything about Kowloon, it's really interesting. Go read it. It was this walled city in Hong Kong that was sort of its own little domain for various complicated reasons. And it wasn't exactly lawless. They kind of had their own...
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to deliver mail to someone there, it would get to them. But they didn't really have, they had to tap into the city's power, and they had to basically take care of themselves. So... It's really, really interesting.
And if you were a psychic on the run,
it'd be a good place to go.
Be a good place to hide.
Yeah. But apparently he's been losing a lot of money by betting.
Yeah, when we first see him, he's in his little apartment, and he's practicing with dice.
Trying to manipulate them to move them where he wants, but he's not very good at it.
Yep, we learned that he doesn't practice very often because he tries to lay low. So he doesn't want to do anything that's going to get detected.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan TV series. He's kind of severed himself from the Force, and he hasn't used it for a long time, so he's not very good at it when he starts doing it again.
I didn't watch that one. So.
I know, that's why I mentioned it.
But like his father, Nick is a mover. Which when you look a little more at it and compared to the comics, you learn that there is sort of a hereditary nature to these powers.
Have you read a lot of Stephen King?
A decent bit.
You were I immediately thought of The Shop.
Shop.
From the Stephen King books, like Firestarter and stuff.
Firestarter's a big, linchpin connecting piece, I think. Yeah.
This huge Firestarter vibe, especially at the beginning.
So we just get a bit of Nick in the city, and he goes out to, some basketball courts where some people are gambling in the corner.
They're throwing dice.
Tries to win some money with his little trick, but he can't quite get it right.
Doesn't pull off, so they kick his ass.
They do.
But he runs off.
I want to praise the cinematography right here before we go forward. Yeah. They really make Hong Kong feel like a real place. I know, obviously, if you are from Hong Kong and you're making a film there, it has a very good authenticity. But a lot of Hollywood films, it feels more like a stage in a game where you're just there for a moment,
right?
And it's a set piece.
It's one of the film's strength is setting it in Hong Kong because it's kind of a character unto itself.
They really make it feel like they live there and they exist there,
and you get that free, almost cyberpunk kind of feel too a lot of the times. But he's intercepted by a couple of guys from the division.
Yeah, Mac and Holden, 2 agents that are sniffers.
Yep, and they are literally sniffing around his apartment, and they're like, "We're not here for you. We're after a girl.
Do you know where she is? We're sure you know where she is." And he's like,
"No, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about."
I love it because they bring up how they found him, and it was the last place he had left a toothbrush.
Yeah, so they're basically, his psychic scent. They can pick it up and chase it. But they're like, "Hey, don't go anywhere. We're gonna be watching," shit like that. But almost as soon as they leave, there's a knock on the door, and he's trying to pack up. He's like, "I'm leaving town. Fuck this shit."
Gotta bug her out.
Yeah. But there's a knock at the door, and the girl they were after, Cassie, shows up. And we find out quickly that she is a watcher. She has visions, which she then draws onto her little sketchbook.
Which is common for watchers. They have some kind of medium that they make their visions on.
Which is a lot like, what's it called? How psychics and mediums, automatic writing.
Yeah, automatic writing. Yeah. Yep. I was going to bring that up, so I'm glad you did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But she says they're going to get $6 million.
Yep. She's got a vision. You and me, we're going to get $6 million. You can settle your debts. And I love it, too, because kind of we quickly learned that she's not the greatest watcher either, kind of like Nick. She's not really super in control of her powers. So a lot of her visions are kind of sketchy. It's almost like in a way
literally, because she sketches them.
I'm so smart. No, she tries to prove herself to Nick right off the gate, so she brings him a toothbrush. She's like, here's your new one.
Toothbrush. Yeah, because they took his other one, So at first he's kind of resistant. He's like, whatever, what's this kid doing, blah, blah, blah. But They take off together because he doesn't want the division coming back to get him or her.
He thinks, I'll buy her a meal, at least hear her out.
Yeah. So they're like running through the city, and we get some like weird camera work here. Like we get some strange kind of handheld stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like maybe a filter they used or something, but it's almost like a 16 millimeter footage. Everything gets grainy and kind of blown up.
So that's actually like an intentional thing. So the reason they shot in Hong Kong, the director said that he was inspired by films like Casablanca, where they used like a foreign location as like a base for like, even though it was like Western characters. And he explained that in the 30s and the 40s, Casablanca was a den for scoundrels and the perfect place to hide, as everyone could come and go there with little notice. And
like
so,
Kowloon, yeah.
in making this film, he thought that Hong Kong would be a good 2000s equivalent to that. But when shooting there was this constant bustle in the city, and some shots were just like really hard to get going, and they couldn't get the right whatever permits or deals or whatever they had to set up to like block off a place. And in light of that, they just decided they were going to do some of the scenes guerrilla style with handheld cameras. They would hide the filmmakers in vans and just kind of pull up, stop, open the side door, get the shot, close the door, slam it, go on.
It's great. The Ed Wood method of filming.
Yeah.
Who needs permits? Yeah, but it's effective.
I like it because they've already set up this thing of the Division, and there's this big like monolithic organization looming over them, and it feels like they're being watched in these scenes.
Yeah, it's very paranoid. But yeah, you get free production value filming it like that, because you have all these extras that don't know you're there, so they're not like looking at the fucking camera or something.
Yeah,
you know,
it feels very real and very lived in.
Yeah.
And so Nick guides them to a random little like food stall.
Yeah, they're having some noodles, and she's talking about how like she sees things, but it's not always right. Sometimes she gets it wrong, or things get worse, and she has to redraw stuff.
And we learned that she mentions her mother, Elizabeth, is like the greatest watcher the Division has ever seen. Mm-hmm. But they have her in custody.
Yeah. And she's talking about how there's this girl that's going to be showing up, and she's going to lead us to the money. Mm-hmm. And he tries to ditch her.
Yeah.
But she's not having it. She's like, "You're going to help me." But then she kind of starts freaking out.
Yeah, she gets a vision.
Yeah, she gets a vision and says that there are bleeders in the market.
And there are. It happens to be some gangsters. Mm-hmm. Would we say this is triad members?
Very triadish, yes. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is your favorite aspect of the movie.
This group is fucking awesome.
It's very anime.
It's very... So everyone says like this is a superhero thing, and I was like, this really feels like a live-action adaptation of an anime that doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because these guys show up, and first of all, they look cool.
Yeah, they
get that whole
badass suits.
The whole punky triad kind of thing going for them. There's a cute Chinese chick with a lollipop.
Yeah.
It's called Pop Girl. We get more of her later. But their power, yeah, like you mentioned earlier, they can like...
They emit
boil
sonic
your blood,
screams,
basically. Yeah, they sit there and they scream. And when they do it, their eyes get like all like cat-like.
Mm-hmm. Really cool effect.
Elliptical. And there's some interesting camera work where it's like an extreme close-up of them and everything's sort of like vibrating and weird looking.
Yeah, I love that. So Nick and Cassie go on the run, and there's some great shots where like they're running past like tanks of fish, and as the sonic wave hits it, it just shatters, and water's getting blasted everywhere. People don't know what's going on.
Fish are blowing up in these tanks.
Yeah.
They're pretty much getting their asses kicked. And Nick's like pushing Cassie to safety.
Yeah, because they get him cornered, and he like does like the whole like telekinetic sweep.
Yeah, force push basically.
Knocks her out of the way, and then they just pin him to the ground. Or like just slowly intensifying it.
There's like blood coming out, but the Pop Girl says, "Hey, don't kill him, or we won't find the girl."
Yeah, she gets a vision, and she realizes that Nick has to be alive.
Yeah.
Or they'll never find where the girl is. If he dies, their path to her vanishes.
So she's another watcher.
Which I like the little rivalry because it starts to be this thing of like Cassie's like frustrated that Pop Girl is like a better watcher than her.
Yeah, yeah. So the woman from before, what's her name? Kira.
Kira.
Yeah. She's like wakes up on the pier. And she's looking in a mirror and sees the name Nick and a number written down. And she's obviously confused, doesn't know where she's at. Mm-hmm.
And so she sets about to go start wandering around the city, trying to find him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Cassie is also wandering around on her own, trying to find Nick using her powers. And she did take his gun. She's carrying around his piece.
Yeah.
But she finds him in what is this place? It's like a restaurant gambling den. I'm not exactly sure what this place is.
Seems about right.
But this chick's coming out of the shadows, and Cassie draws her gun on her. And Cassie says something about how she's a Stitch.
Yep.
So she's one of those people that can repair or hurt people, apparently.
Yeah. I think in actual, like, psychic-y terms, it's called, what, biokinesis? Where you can, like, manipulate the body.
Yeah, or psychic surgery, that kind of thing. So there's
a
a little bit of
played
info.
by Maggie Stiff, by the way. Teresa is her name.
Yes, Teresa, right. And we get a little bit of a story here because the Stitch is saying they still have Cassie's mom and she's all drugged up.
Yeah, it seems like implies that she knew her mom.
Yeah. But she heals Nick. It looks like it's painful. She's like mending his bones and shit like that.
Which doesn't she even say, like, your mom told me I had to be here to do this?
Right.
Yeah.
And while Nick is recovering, Cassie gives Nick a flower.
Yep.
A lotus.
As she's walking in, she just kind of notices it and idly grabs it.
So like her father said, the girl's going to give you the flower. You got to help her.
Yeah, that's when it all clicks for him, and he's like, oh shit, this is like the person.
And somehow we find out that the woman who dropped the marble at the beginning of the movie is Cassie's mom.
Yeah.
There's like a flashback showing that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Cassie's like showing him a drawing she made of the division spooks capturing the girl. And Nick's like catching on. He's like, hey, there's no money, is there?
Nope, they're actually looking for that briefcase with the drug in it.
Yep, they need the case. And
they need Kira to get the case.
And Cassie shows them a picture of the two of them dying.
Yep.
She's like, hey, we're going to die.
Yep. Current state of events. And I think it's interesting because when you get into like seeing the future, you get into that whole question of like free will. Is there free will or is it all destiny, right?
Right.
And I like the stance that this film takes, that it's like she can see the future, but it's just like the likely outcome based on the current factors.
Sure.
And she even tells him at one point, like, even just us discussing it, that already starts to like change things.
Yeah. Right.
Which makes it hard to keep a track on what's going.
It's pretty neat.
Which I enjoy.
But Kira's wandering around, and she's being followed by those division spooks.
Yeah, the sniffers.
Yeah. They grab her, and they're talking about how like Carver's going to kill them if anything happens to her.
And I really love it because they're driving in the car, and she keeps trying to push the one guy with her mind.
And it hurts him.
Yeah, he gets like mad about it.
But apparently she's got to use the bathroom, and she was telling him psychically she has to use the bathroom. This dude's Agent Mac.
Yeah.
And so they're in the bathroom. He's in there with her, making sure she doesn't try to escape. And she's talking about how...
well, he makes a rookie mistake here.
Well, yeah.
He's staring at himself in the mirror, kind of, making sure he's all kept and looking like a proper, like, anime, like, lower-level lieutenant person.
Right. But Kira's telling him that he had a brother who died.
Yeah, she, like, tilts open the stall and peeks and catches him in the reflection.
Yeah. And he's like, no, I don't have a brother. But she's like, no, he was murdered. And so we see in his mind that his brother being murdered by Holden, by his partner.
Yeah.
And, Kira's like, oh, your partner murdered him. And so he gets out of the bathroom and just shoots Holden in the back of the head.
Yeah, pretty brutal scene.
Yeah. And so then he realizes, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? Goes back in there, and there's a fight scene with him and Kira.
And this is where we get the, like, of this era fight scene where it's like a lot of quick cuts.
Yeah.
Hard to see what's going on.
It's pretty weak. There's also a lot of unfortunate of its era music.
Yeah. I'll give this a little bit of a pass. Not like a full pass, but I'll give it a little pass just because this isn't like a martial arts film, number one.
No.
And then, like, none of these people are really, like, fighting experts so much. So
sure. It's fine. It's
kind of like it's down and dirty, just people trying to do shit.
Yeah, but she gets the upper hand and kicks his ass, and she takes off with his gun and her bag, the case she's carrying. Or actually, no, it's just her bag, because the case comes up later. And while they were fighting, like, her bracelet breaks, and their beads go everywhere along the floor.
Which is a mistake. Because very shortly, Carver and his little team roll up to see what's going on at the restaurant.
Yep.
And he immediately has them round up the beads, says disseminate these all throughout the city to anyone who's a sniffer.
Yeah, all sniffers.
Tell them, I'm looking for this person. We'll pay whatever price.
Yep.
Spare no expense.
And in that scene, Carver gets Mac to shoot himself.
Yeah.
Because Carver's at first like, go back home. You fucked up, go home. And Mac's like, no, I don't want to. I want to make this right. And the guy's like, basically it's just something like, eat your gun, right?
No, he says, if you want to make it right, take your gun and shoot yourself.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of hesitating.
And then the guy says, it's okay. You've already checked it.
Yeah,
you know it's empty.
You remember you took the bullets out, right?
And his like pupils gets all big. He's like obviously pushing him. And there's kind of a fun scene where they're walking away, and we see Mac in the background. And he puts the gun in his mouth, and we hear the pop. And Nick and Cassie are in a cab. Cassie keeps telling him he's going to start working on his powers more if they're going to make it out of this. She's doing another drawing, and he recognizes a club.
Yeah.
So they head to that club, and there's a drawing. He thinks it's an olive, but it's a bead that she's drawn, which is one of Kira's beads.
Another comical thing with her is that she's not a great artist either.
She's not very good. No. So they meet a guy at this bar who used to work for the division, we find out. He's doing these card tricks on people.
His name's Hook.
His name's Hook.
He's a shifter.
And he's pretty cool. I like him.
Yeah. It's weird because it's like, he tells Cassie this is like an adult place. And it looks a lot like how a hostess club looks in Japan.
Yeah.
Where it's like all the circular tables and you sit with like a woman in a very elegant dress.
Right.
And
pay way too much for drinks.
Yeah. Which we realize why he's there, because he's like faking his money the whole time.
Yeah, he's just got like these like pieces of paper with like the dollar amount written on it and says, makes him think that it's actual real money.
Which is great.
They tell him their situation, and he says, and he turns like an earring from one of the waitresses into like the bead that Cassie has seen, which I guess is good enough. Like it's almost like it becomes that actual object or something. I don't know.
Well, he says like take this to a sniffer and then see if they can like pick up anything.
Yeah.
Just off of like the shape and the look of it.
Yep. He sends him to a sniffer called Yu. Emily Yu, I think her name is.
Which is played by
McGuigan.
McGuigan. Hell yes. This is like an all-star cast.
Yeah, and she's great. She's really good.
Which she doesn't even need it. They show her the bead, and then she's like, I already have that. They're giving them out to everyone.
Yeah, they don't even need it. Yeah.
And so she just gets the one that Carver's people dropped off.
And she tells them that they're going to find Kira on the pier.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to this location. Kira sees Nick coming up behind her and immediately opens fire on him. Yeah. So he's ducking for cover, and it's like apparently they know each other. We get a little bit of a backstory saying how she was taken by the division when they were together.
Yeah, they used to be a couple.
Yeah, but he bugged out, and she's pissed off because he didn't come rescue her.
And he's like, "I looked for you. I had no leads. I had nothing.
What was I supposed to do?"
Mm-hmm. Which I do like because, and we'll eventually talk about this, I'm sure. But this is a long film. It's like 2 hours.
A
lot of plot. And again, Kira is not the strongest character in her portrayal. I think it would have been terrible to also laden this film with like the traditional like let's fall in love romance plot. So they kind of sidestep it here where it's like they've already done all of that.
Yeah.
And they're like they had been in the relationship and then there was this pause.
Right.
So it lets them like minimize the amount of time they have to spend on that.
Which was a good idea. But Cassie's like, okay, she doesn't have the case.
Which Cassie doesn't really like her at first. She's like, she doesn't have the case. She's worthless to us. Let's just cut her and go.
And she has another picture of herself, Nick, and her mother dead. And she says it's because of Kira.
Yeah, something about adding Kira to the group means that not only will they die, but also the division will offer mom.
Yeah. So they meet up with another guy named Pinky.
Who's a shadow. He can shield people from detection.
So they want to keep Kira close to him so the sniffers can't find her. And she doesn't remember anything from the past few days. And they're hoping that if they take some time, her memories will start coming back.
Which, by the way, Pinky, played by Nate Mooney. I know he's been in some other stuff, but he's really funny in this.
No,
I liked his energy.
He's good. And Cassie goes off by herself. I wrote in my notes, should they really be letting her go out by herself? Because if she's not around, the shadow dude, she could be picked up,
Potentially, but I don't think they're so actively looking for her so much as Kira.
I guess, I don't know.
But yeah, it's funny because there's this weird like romantic tension, I guess, between Nick and Kira.
You think so? I mean, you can call it that.
So
I don't think it really exists.
Cassie's kind of annoyed. She's like, whatever, I'm going out.
Yeah.
And then Kira's like freshening herself up in the bathroom, kind of cleaning up and stuff. And so
Pinky excuses himself.
He's like, I don't need to be a watcher to know what's going on here,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna see myself out.
So yeah, Nick and Kira get it on, while two far more interesting characters are meeting up on the street. Cassie runs into Pop Girl.
Yep.
And she keeps saying that she sees how Cassie dies.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, Pop Girl, played by Lee Xiaolu. She's been in some other Hong Kong flicks. None that I really noticed, but
she's pretty great.
She's great in this.
Yeah, I like her a lot. And Cassie had mentioned this before, but she gets a bottle of booze because she says that being drunk enhances her powers.
Which she wanted to do earlier, and Nick was like, no way. No,
I've made that same claim, and it never goes well.
I want to talk about the Nick and Kira scene, too, though, because it is just basically just like have their moment and kiss and stuff.
Yeah.
But
it's very lame.
There's a funny note about this scene where it's like as they're going in with one another, he kind of like grabs her butt and then like flicks his hand to like shut the door with his powers. Apparently, and this is like, the setup for Chris Evans being Captain America, I guess. He was uncomfortable about doing the scene and like grabbing her butt like that. And he told the director like he wasn't going to do it unless she signed off on it too and was okay with it.
Okay.
And then I guess she was like, oh my God, well, I guess, yeah, it's okay, Chris Evans.
Yeah, right.
But she agreed, and so he shot it that way. Otherwise, he was kind of like, do we really even need that part? Like, we can do it a different way.
Right. Well, that's cool.
So yeah,
that's good.
Lead up to the ultimate Boy Scout.
Yeah, right. So Cassie finds her way back, and she's telling them what Pop Girl said.
And she smashed,
yeah. And Pinky is like, I can't really help you against watchers, only sniffers. So he can't do anything about Pop Girl. Mm-hmm. So they decide, okay, the best thing to do is we're gonna get some rest and then split up. But Cassie suddenly wakes up with a vision, and then those poppers show up. The bleeders. I keep calling them poppers in my notes.
Well, everyone in that family, like, they all refer to them kind of that way because it's
like Pop Dad. And,
the older guy that runs it is Pop Dad, and then Pop Girl. So yeah, this is kind of just a motif to them.
But since Cassie sensed they were coming, they get out in time, and Kira goes off with Pinky.
Well, she's reluctant to do, but he finally convinces her, like, hey, you have to go with him. You can't just be detectable in the city right now.
Yeah. So Cassie's all like, okay, if we don't find the case soon, they're going to kill my mom, and it's going to be her fault. So that strikes a chord with Nick, who has having flashbacks to his dad.
Yeah. Can't let that happen again.
Yeah, so Nick takes his gun back and is like, he decides to just confront Carver.
Yeah, because he says eventually, regardless of what happens, we have to deal with him. So I may as well just go ahead and meet with him face to face.
Yeah. So they meet in this restaurant, and it seems like Nick's getting a pretty good handle on his powers at this point. Because he has two pieces at this time, and he just has them float up into the air.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And he approaches Carver, and he's got a little assistant with him.
And this is such a fucking anime thing, because like they're in a restaurant. Carver's at the back table. Nick kind of like walks all the way through, slowly approaching up to him.
Right.
Yeah. Great little like standoff moment.
Yeah.
But Carver kind of drops a bomb on him because he says, now that she's had those enhancements, she's going to die without more of the drug.
Yeah, right.
Which we've seen little hints of that. Her nose has been bleeding.
Yeah, she ain't too good.
She's feeling kind of crummy. And Carver's like, hey, I'm the only one that's got it. You got to get it from me or you got to turn it back in or something.
Mm-hmm. And Nick does this cool thing where he's like controlling the guns with his mind, and he's like pointing them right at their heads and shit, so they can't really do anything.
Yeah, and he even challenges Carver. He says, let's see who's faster, my power pulling the trigger or you trying to push a thought into my mind.
Right. But inevitably, a fight breaks out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because he keeps like dogging Nick on, and you can see he starts to lose control because they make the guns start to kind of shake a little bit.
Right, like he's holding it and can't really control it very well.
And we learn that Carver's right-hand man here, Victor, he is also a mover, and he is like top class.
Yeah, he's much better than Nick.
So he kind of kicks his ass.
So Nick's like firing at him, but the dude's just like deflecting his bullets.
Yeah, and I love that effect too, where it's like there's like the little shutter for a second.
Yeah, it's like, kind of like a force field. It reminded me a bit of the field effect from the Dune movies.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah. And it's funny because they'll return fire, and Nick tries to do it, and he'll catch like one or two, and then the rest are just like boom, 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 boom all around him.
So there's this fun thing where they're like trying to get cover, but they're like moving their guns around to try to go around the corners and shoot. Nope.
It made me think of the full contact gunfight, but it was like redone with psychic powers instead. But
alas, we do get an annoying fucking trope that upsets me to no fucking end.
Okay, lay it on me.
So Victor gets a drop on Nick, and the gun comes sneaking up behind him, right? Goes to fire, click, nothing. Yeah, semi-automatic. The slide's going to be back if it's empty. You know when it's empty. It's not like a revolver. And I fucking hate it every time it's done in the movie. It takes me right out of it. And I know that's a little pedantic.
Me, who is ignorant of such things, just sat there and was like, this is cool.
Right, and that's the thing. A lot of people aren't even going to catch that. But if you if you know guns at all, you know that's a thing. And it's so fucking annoying.
I love it.
Filmmakers, stop doing that. Okay, rant over.
So they have him dead to rights. They have him like pinned to the ceiling, right?
Yeah.
And they're kind of just holding him there for the time being because they're wondering, where's his associates?
Yeah, and Carver goes outside, and Cassie's there, and Cassie talks him out of killing Nick. Mm-hmm. And so they let Nick live. Nick and Cassie take off. They find Kira with Pinky and Hook. Hook's there.
Yep.
And Kira's gotten even worse.
Yeah, now she's starting to have trouble just existing. Yeah. Constant pain. But this is where Cassie makes another jump with a vision, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, they also find a key that Kira has.
It's in her shoe.
Yeah. And they take that back to Emily Hugh. Mm-hmm. And she's examining it and says it's being shadowed. She can't see it. And Cassie's like, okay, well, where can you not see it, basically? So they go out to her balcony in the big cityscape. And she's saying that building isn't there in my vision.
Yeah, there's one big skyscraper.
Cassie does a drawing of the city, and it's not there. So that obviously must be where it's being kept.
Yeah, it's a clever workaround to that caveat of their powers.
Yeah.
However, they know that there's watchers after them, there's sniffers after them, they got everything after them.
Yeah, Pop Girl is really good at her job.
So this is where, for a moment, it almost shifts into being a heist film.
Yeah, this is clever. I like this part a lot because Cassie is anything we do, any intention we change, Pop Girl's going to see it.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah. So then Nick gets an idea. Okay, I'm gonna write a letter to everybody, and I'm gonna tell you to open it at a particular time.
And it's got your instructions of what you need to do.
You're not gonna know what's in it until you open it.
And then after I write all these letters, I'm gonna go get my mind wiped of that, so I don't even know what's in the letters.
Yep. And Pinky just delivers Kira to Carver. Yep. So she can get the medicine that she needs and not die. Yeah, meanwhile, Nick goes to the guy, the Wiper. And this is where the Wiper tells... Does he tell him that he wiped Kira's memory? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he's going to do the same thing for him. So he's going to wipe the last 2 hours. So Pop Girl won't be able to see anything, doesn't know what's going on. Yep. Even Nick really doesn't know what's going on because he's got his own letter he wrote to himself.
Yeah.
That he's not supposed to read until a particular time.
Genius.
Yeah, so we see Pop Girl trying to sketch.
It starts to get unclear.
And then her asshole dad slaps her. What a jerk. What a jerk. Yeah. So Nick wakes up. His mind is last 2 hours, no memory. He sees a note to himself. It says to go home.
Yeah.
Let's see. In the meantime, Hook had gone to that shadowed building, and Cassie had told him that I see you die by an elevator, standing next to an elevator, and he has to get in this big lift to go up there.
It's hilarious.
So they're oh fuck. Yeah, he gets the case. He comes back. And when Nick gets back to his home, he finds Teresa there, the Stitch.
Yep. And we learn that she's betraying them.
Yeah. Yeah. She fucks him up. And the Pop Gang get there, and she's got the case. Mm-hmm. And they pay her, and they take the case.
She turns it over to them.
Yep. But he's got some guns floating up in the air he had hidden in his apartment.
So ultimately, he defeats her. But now the Pop Gang has the case.
Yep.
Meanwhile, this is where Carver starts to try to push Kira, right? Is that our next scene, or is that...
Pretty much. Well, I mean, the Pop Gang shows up, and the case is fake, because it's one that... what are they called? Shifters?
Yeah, Hook.
Yeah, Hook. Yeah. He created a fake case.
Yeah.
And because we see him opening a case he brought with him, and we see something inside like a bottle.
Yeah.
And they're looking, they bring out what they think is the syringe, but it's a bottle of soy sauce. Yeah, and this is where Carver reveals to Kira, hey, you're one of us. You're a division agent.
Always have been.
Yep. You volunteered for the drug. So, okay, we administered it to you.
And your relationship with Nick was a cover you had.
It's a cover.
For a mission.
Yeah, it's not real. Didn't happen. They didn't expect her to freak out like she did when she took the drug. And she ran off with the syringe, and they couldn't find her. And he's like, how come you think we had such a hard time finding you? Because you're trained. You know how to evade us. So she's like, oh my God.
I'm sure it's like an Inception thing where, like, the more plausible the story, the easier it is to pass it.
Yeah, right.
And then what?
Well, Nick tells Cassie to get the split because
yeah.
Cassie's convinced that Pop Girl's going to kill her. Mm-hmm. Pop Girl told her showed her this drawing of a tiger.
Yeah.
And this is when you're going to die. I'm like, she's going to get eaten by a tiger? What the fuck?
They're really amping up the movie, man.
Yeah, but and Cassie's trying to act randomly, but Pop Girl's watching her and drawing.
Eventually jumps her.
But Cassie wanders into this restaurant, and she's seeing images of that tiger on boxes. It's like some sort of a company emblem or something. And Pop Girl shows up with a gun. And it's like, yeah, I told you, this is where you're going to die. But then the memory wiping dude, the wiper, comes out from behind Pop Girl and fries your brain.
He's in on it, too.
Yep. So Nick decides to make a deal.
Yeah, this is our big, standoff moment.
Yeah, this is coming to the end. He's like, okay, I got your drug.
I'll trade it to you for Kira.
Trade it to you for the girl. So they meet up with Carver. Kira is telling him that she used them and planted the memories of them being together.
It's a great, this is another anime moment, because it's like a weird, half-finished construction site that they all turn up at for this.
Yeah.
And so we've got Kira, Carver, and Victor on one side. We've got Nick on the other.
Yeah, and Hook calls Nick and says that the card you gave me says he has to take the drug.
Mm-hmm. It's the only way to win.
Yeah. And Hook's like, he tells Carver, he says, if you let them live, I'll show you where the case is. So they go to that building, the big abandoned building. Nick's in the trunk. They find the case, and they're going to kill Nick, but the Pop Gang shows up, and of course they want the case.
Yeah, got a big, huge fight.
So they're making a big ass fight.
Wipes out a lot of the cast.
People being thrown around. Yeah.
In the chaos of that, Nick gets freed because they have him tied up.
Yeah, it's kind of bugged me because he's in the trunk, right?
Yeah.
And then some of the pop goons fall off the building, hit the trunk opens, and then Nick's stumbling out. But couldn't he just used his mover powers to blow the trunk lid off?
This gets into one of those weird specific things where we're going to debate about it more because in D&D it's magic's verbal, somatic, all that stuff. Yeah. So does he need the hand movements to do it, or
only if it's somatic?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. So what are the descriptions of his powers?
We don't know. Yeah, that's the thing. Or could it be a thing if he was more powerful, could he do it without motion? And maybe the motions help it where he's not.
But still, his hands are cuffed. He could still move his hands. It brought me out immediately. It wasn't something I thought about later. I thought about it right then.
Yeah, it didn't really bug me.
Okay. So Nick gets in there and he's fighting Victor.
Yeah, they get their big like rematch.
Yeah, he gets the better of them. They're just literally like punching, but they're like when they punch each other, it's like aided by telekinesis. It's like
really
power
cool.
punch.
Yeah,
it's like Thunder Punch He-Man.
Yeah, I dug that a lot. But he doesn't kill Victor. Was it Pop Dad, right? Gets him.
Yeah, Pop Gang shows up. Victor kills one of them himself. Like there's this bamboo scaffold everywhere. So he uses one of the pieces of the bamboo to go right through his neck. But then Pop Dad shows up and he kills Victor. And then Nick drops that whole scaffolding down on him.
Yeah. And in the chaos of everything and the scuffle, he gets the case, gets the syringe, and kind of have that triumphant moment where he injects himself, takes the whole thing.
Yeah. Because Carver's there, he's got the gun on him and shit, and Kira's there. And he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to fucking take this drug. So he takes it and then dies.
And it collapses down. And Carver's like, this is a waste.
Yeah, it took care of my problem. Okay.
The drug is handled. I have Kira. Nick's out of the picture.
Let's get out of here.
So they just leave.
But then Cassie shows up. After they're gone, she's got an umbrella because she told Nick earlier that you're going to need an umbrella because there's water dropping down on him from this half-finished building. He wakes up, sees Cassie, and apparently this is all part of the plan.
Yep.
It wasn't really the drug he injected himself with. They still have that.
It was the decoy that they set up.
Yeah.
Not the shifted decoy, but a false decoy.
Right. And he even asked, what did I just inject? And she says soy sauce.
Yes, a whole bunch of soy sauce.
And then there's a discussion about how, okay, we need to go free my mom.
Mm-hmm. Well, they go and they get the actual real syringe of the drug.
Right. And they're like, with this, we can,
Yeah, with this, we
could sue for peace, basically.
Yeah, we have the leverage that we can free Cassie's mom and really, stick it to the division.
And, man, they're setting up a sequel of this.
Which we learn that everything that's happened was visions that the mother Elizabeth had. And that was her dropping the little marble ball
to set everything
into motion.
Right.
That if they did everything the way that they did, it would reach this point.
Which I like. That's fun.
It's fun. Well, especially when you're playing with psychic powers and seeing the future and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we get a little coda, though.
All right. They're on the plane. Carver and Kira are heading back to the division.
And Kira notices in her belongings, she has one of those little envelopes.
Yep. One of those red envelopes.
She pops it open. It's a picture of her and Nick.
Yeah. Proof that they actually did know each other and they did have a relationship.
Mm-hmm. So
she's pissed. And she tells Carver to eat his gun. Which may not be the best idea in an airplane like that. But, whatever.
Potentially.
And then we do get, this also bothered me, we get the cliche of a fade to black gunshot. Mm-hmm. Lame.
It is PG-13, but...
I know, but still, that's such an overused trope. And then the movie ends.
Yeah, so our situation is all resolved. The battle is won, but the war still marches on.
They get that dark second chapter they really want.
Yep.
Which never happened.
Wah, 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 wah.
Because apparently the movie didn't do terribly, but it didn't really make much of a profit.
Yeah, let's see here. Opening weekend, it was number 6. Did about 10 million in 2,300 or so theaters. About a 4,358 average. All said and done, it did about 48, we'll say 49 million worldwide.
They had a budget of 30, something like that?
Oh, that's the cool part. Is so then they did about 16 million in DVD sales in the U.S. alone. Grand total of everything all told together combined, 65 million or so. And then that was well past the budget of 38 million.
Right.
So they had a good 27 million profit or so.
Well, you still got to make double the budget to make any money back.
So not quite.
Yeah.
Reception was not the greatest for it.
No.
Let me run down some stuff.
There's a reason I didn't remember this movie.
Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 23% all told. The little consensus it gives you is the sci-fi thriller Push is visually flashy but hyperkinetic and convoluted.
Yeah.
And on Metacritic, it has an average of 36 out of 100. Roger Ebert, who we love to laugh about his opinions, gave it a 1.5 star out of 4 and said, Push has vibrant cinematography and decent acting, but I'm blasted if I know what it's about.
It's not that convoluted.
Further reinforces, like, why the fuck did this guy ever become a famous film critic when he literally cannot understand, like, basic plots?
It's not that complicated. Yeah. It really isn't. I did get confused at one part. We'll talk about that later.
Sure. Some other people, one of the reviewers for Variety said it was a confused jumble of parts in search of its whole. It plays like a mixtape sample of scenes from Heroes, Fringe, Alias, and The X-Files. The Hollywood Reporter's review said, while the concept of corralling assorted psychics and placing them against a stylish Asian backdrop is intriguing, the picture seldom rises to the occasion. So yeah.
And then it is a bit disjointed, and I guess I'll get into that in my criticism.
Let me run down some other notes I have.
Sure.
So let's see, we talked about those.
Wasn't it actually called Heroes overseas somewhere, which led to some confusion?
There is a naming thing, and we'll get to that. The director, commenting on making the film, he said that he was much more interested in the character element than the action parts. And he said that even though it was an action movie, to him, he wanted to have characters that felt like they were more developed, they had a little more depth to them, more so than what you see in similar fare of that type. Which I think with some of the characters, they definitely nailed, others lesser so.
Yes.
Channing Tatum was attached at first for the role of Nick, but in the end it went to Chris Evans.
Much better choice.
I think so as well. Chris Evans came on their radar due to his performance in Danny Boyle's Sunshine from 2007.
I've never seen Sunshine.
Me either. Funny little fact with Dakota Fanning, she hated the like knee-high boots that her character has.
Yeah, so they were like uncomfortable.
They were super uncomfortable. She tried to pitch them just wearing flip-flops, and they were like, "No, you got to have this look."
Yeah, plus the stunts and stuff.
Would make it too difficult.
I mean, I think they look cool. So.
It's a cool look. It was a good sacrifice, I guess, for the whole of the things.
Her discomfort, it was worth it.
And then speaking of her character, Cassie, just fun little nerd fact. So her full name is Cassandra, and in Greek mythology, Cassandra was a individual who was given the gift of prophecy, but she was cursed that people would never really believe her.
Yep.
And that's kind of the position we see Cassie in. So like that was a little name check there.
A little hoity-toity.
Speaking of that guerrilla filmmaking they were doing, the scene where Kira gets abducted by the two agents, it happens on this big crowded street, and they kind of just get her at gunpoint and take her.
Right.
They had to do that one guerrilla style. So when they filmed it, the crew was in the van or hidden around places. So there was no visible film crew at all.
Right.
So it looked like this was just an abduction happening in the street. And none of the passerbys reacted at all. They just turned their heads and let it happen.
Well, that may be common in that area of Hong Kong. I don't know. They're like, oh God, more triad shit. Let's just don't look.
The premise of the script, when he read it, made the director get interested and led him to like go down all these rabbit holes. Especially about like things that went on with the Cold War, which was a thing I wanted to get into. Here's a dumb little side path for us before we end this episode. The whole premise of like you got a government agency and they're controlling people with special abilities for like military use.
Yeah.
That has a little bit of a real world kernel of truth to it.
Sure.
There is, of course, the U.S. government's Stargate project. Familiar with that at all?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
Quick rundown. It was a secret U.S. Army unit established in 1977. And its goal was to investigate the potential for any kind of psychic phenomenon and its potential military or domestic applications, especially with the realm of intelligence. The project and its precursors and sisters and spin-offs have all kinds of different code names. Grill Flame, Centerlane, Gondola Wish, Sunstreak. And then around 1991, those all kind of got merged and made into Stargate. Their main focus that they really settled on was this thing called remote viewing. It was the idea that psychics could see faraway places and view what was going on there and even read like documents or see what people were doing, hear conversations.
Right.
It was overseen until 1987 by Lieutenant Frederick Holmes, Skip Atwater, and also Major General Albert Stubblebine.
Okay, you can't make these names up.
Yeah. The unit was very small, had about 15 to 20 individuals, and it was run apparently out of some old leaky barracks.
Sounds like a movie unto itself. We need that movie.
Well, let's get to that. So, the Stargate project was terminated and declassified in 1995 after a CIA report concluded that it was never useful and there was nothing valuable out of it. Now, is that true or not? Opinions differ. There's plenty of people that still kind of give some credence to this idea of remote viewing, and there's plenty of people that claim to have been part of the project and say that they actually did have results.
A little hard to disprove.
But that's your own avenue that you can run down and see what you think about. So, but overall, the official report says that the information provided from the program was vague and had irrelevant and erroneous data, and there was some suspicion on the reliability of their judgment of the information they had obtained. And this entire whole spiel of the Stargate shit was the premise of a 2004 book that later became a film in 2009, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Oh, right, yeah.
But notably, neither property, the film or the book, ever mentioned like Project Stargate or any of the proper names.
Yeah.
So there was a film, but it's just...
Wasn't it like more of a comedy or something?
It was, yeah. It was kind of poking fun at the concept. Yeah. But there's other things, too, in the mix of this premise of the film. So, because I think, like, they have the World War II origin, right? That, like, in their setting, this all starts with the Nazis were experimenting. So, a little fun thing, Operation Paperclip. Let's talk about that for a second, right? That was the secret U.S. intelligence program designed to, in the wake of World War II, let's snatch up all of this Nazi research, scientists, smart people. We got to get them in the U.S. of A before Russia grabs them, because, boom, we're going right into the Cold War.
Yep.
It was responsible for bringing in more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians, many of which were former members of Nazi Germany, and employed them for various technology and projects. A lot of it had to do with rocketry, first and foremost, but there was many other things. It was responsible for the production of what is valued as about $10 billion worth of patents and industrial processes. Some of these recruits included very notable figures like Werner von Braun, a leading scientist on rocket technology, and was instrumental in developing the U.S. space program, military technology, and more, who knows how much, even to this day. And then, of course, despite all those things they accomplished, a lot of controversy there with that idea, right, of picking up from there and just kind of carrying that forward. And this, it's beyond the scope of our show, but if you
a little bit
find a good I guess podcast that does history or something, you get into the whole like ethical kernel of that. We're not going to today.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
So I like it. I like that, you know, this film kind of leaned on all of that and was like, let's extrapolate that. And
I mean, it's cool subject matter. It's a cool premise.
But yeah, so why is this film called Push? I mean, obviously there's the pushers.
Sure.
And they're a key element to the plot. There was another film at the time that was supposed to come out, and it wanted to be called Push. Apparently there's a novel by an author named Sapphire called Push, and they kind of got in a back and forth about it, and that led to the novel-based one being renamed to Precious, which also came out in 2009. And I think if you remember when that came out, it would always say Precious based on the novel Push.
And I don't remember.
And they had to do that because Push won that fight and got the name.
Interesting.
Funny thing is, though, is in the wake of all of that, they both ended up being owned by Lionsgate, and then got passed somewhere. I don't forget the chain. I didn't write that down, but eventually they ended up owned by the same like property.
Of course,
which is funny. But yeah, when it was shipped out to theaters, they had like a secret name for it, which was Kinetic. Which is actually a decent name for the film.
It's not bad.
But in Spain, they know for sure in Chile, and then it's kind of debatable if any other areas did this, but they renamed the movie Heroes, which caused a lot of confusion because people there in that region where it was titled that thought it was like a tie-in film for the TV show Heroes, which was airing at the time. And then it's funny because when you examine those, Heroes is the story of a group of people that suddenly develop superpowers and are being stalked by a secret organization, government affiliated, that wants to try to control them. But I'm just going to go out on the record here. So, like, what do you think of Heroes, the show?
The show?
Let's talk about it.
The first season was fun as fuck.
Okay.
The second season, the whole writer's strike happened, so it was truncated, and it wasn't good.
Definitely crowbar to the knee.
Yeah, but you were like, okay, there was a writer's strike. I'll give them a little bit of grace.
Give them a free pass.
I'll watch the third season, which was shit on toast. And I tuned out quickly after that. Okay. What about you?
I fucking hate Heroes. I have never liked it. You know, I'm a comic book guy. I'm a superhero guy.
Right.
I dig all that kind of stuff. And no, I just really hate it. I just felt like it was such a TV drama first, and then all the superhero-y part came like second to that. And I was always turned off on it. I could never get into it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
And when I saw this film, I was like, this is kind of what I wanted.
Okay. Yeah.
Which we've seen, like, and maybe we can talk about this now. Like, this isn't an original premise by any means. And, like, in more modern times, we've seen other shows come out that do this. Like, what was the, like, Sense8? That was a bunch of psychics on the run from a government organization. Right. And I think the thing to talk about is, like, comparison points. Like, you mentioned Firestarter. That's a big one. David Cronenberg's Scanners.
Sure.
Same thing. Psychics, government program, whole deal. And it goes back into everything, man. It's like, it's X-Men, right?
Sure.
Even in Japan that same time, going back into like the 60s, they had stuff like Cyborg 009. Bunch of youths abducted by an evil organization, turned into superhuman cyborgs, meant to like be the leaders of their like terror on the world. They get free, they're on the run, they're trying to live their life and be free while also stopping their machinations.
Or Akira.
Yep.
You know, because those children were psychic and they were government agency exploding
on the run. Yep. Tale as old as time, and it always fucking works.
Sure.
That's what I'm gonna say.
I mean, it's you know, things become genres and subgenres for a reason.
I love it. So I guess there's one last piece of the puzzle before we can kind of unpack our thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's that little comic book that came out.
Okay.
So it was a 5-issue miniseries meant to be a prequel to the film. And it was published through Wildstorm, which I believe is an imprint of DC. So it's kind of its own thing, but that was like one of their releasing things for like stuff that's not like DC Universe proper. So it concerns itself a lot with the first generation of psychics, which we hear that term a little bit in the film. Because we get that Nick and Cassie are second generation, which means they're the children of first generation psychics. And so our main character in that is this dude named Ezra, and he is the only documented changer the Division has ever found. He can shapeshift himself into other people. And he kind of leads like their elite like strike team that does like the most dangerous missions, the biggest jobs, the craziest stuff.
Oh, The Boys. The Boys is a good current example.
Yeah, The Boys is perfect. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that was good to get that in there. But no, so Ezra leads this team and he does different jobs for the Division. This is like pre any kind of breakaway even. Like they just have a lock on everything. You're with the Division or you're a psychic that's not yet been discovered. And some of the members of his team that he regularly works with are characters that are like tangentially related to the film. The Watcher on his team is Elizabeth, Cassie's mother. She's not born yet. And then the couple that give birth to Nick are also part of his team. And they're both movers. And so in like, I won't go through like beat by beat, but the broad strokes of it is in the course of doing a few missions, he starts to get like sketchy about the Division and what they've told them, which culminates in them trying to assassinate him when they think he's had his use run out. But he escapes. He gets a hold of a disk of data. He learns the truth. We get that whole backstory drop of like this all started with the Germans and Nazis, everything, blah, 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 secret machinations. And he decides to try to free everyone from Division, stages this big, massive breakout, and starts like that first initial spark of rebellion against them. He's being opposed this whole time by a director in the program. I think his name was like Sam Miller or something. He's kind of, sort of like an adoptive father for Ezra, which is a whole thing. Like his backstory is interesting because like, he's like a survivor from the end of the war. He was like a little kid, like right when it was ending, and like Sam took him in and like raised him, which seemed like a benevolent thing, but really it was a to control him thing.
Right.
And when they break away, one of the people that joins their crew is Carver. He's like a new recruit at the time. And so it kind of like builds into this like whole like we're going to oppose the Division. They kind of thwart some of their schemes. They do a great one where it's like, and this is more of like that blending history with reality of the setting thing. The Division is trying to stage a thing where they're going to assassinate Princess Diana and cause like turmoil with the British royal family.
Okay.
And they interrupt that and stop it. And the vague implication is like when it eventually happened, that was the Division like
succeeding
pulling strings.
Yeah.
But it all builds up to this big final conflict. where Carver betrays them. He was like for the division the entire time, and he kind of like pulls apart their plan. And when everything goes fucking sideways, Ezra ends up sacrificing himself to save his key members of his crew to let them get away. And there's a bit of setup. We find out that Nick's parents mentioned Nick that they gave birth to a kid, and they've been kind of keeping him on like the DL so the division doesn't know. So he gets them out of there so they can raise their kid, which we see how that goes. And then he gets a chance to speak with Elizabeth, and she's like, I had this vision, I'm going to have this baby, and I want you to see this picture. And he shows him a picture of like, it's Cassie, and he tells her, he's like, you should name her Cassandra. And he says, like, I think she's going to be like really important to what we're doing, our cause, our attempt to stop the division. And so he kind of heroically sacrifices himself. Carver has him offed, and the rest of his group kind of scatter about across the world to go into hiding. And then we get a little like time jump right in the end of the last issue. At this point, Carver is where he is at the start of the film. He's like a top level member of the division. He's been elevated for all his successes. And like some people are coming in and being like, hey, we have Kira, we're ready for this experiment, da-da-da. And he's like reviewing files of where different people are they're trying to track. And you can see on his screen there's like a file for Nick, a file for Cassie. And it kind of leaves off on that.
Oh, okay.
And it's like to be continued in the film push at theaters now.
Okay.
Yeah. So nothing like groundbreaking or incredible, but I mean, it just like fleshed out the world more.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
Is what it is.
Indeed.
All right, so should I go since I picked this?
Yeah.
Spiel my heart out first.
Go for it.
I want to get the bad out of the way first. It's a bit too long of a film. It's right around 2 hours. I'm not sure what you could cut. I think people would say like cut a lot of the walking around scenes, but I think those are some of the best parts because they humanize the setting and the characters in the film. And it's really just good cinematography and like good guerrilla camera work too. It really brings that setting and that world to life. The fight scenes, they're pretty like standard for the time. Nothing special or remarkable there. Lots of quick cuts to get it done.
Yeah.
I don't think the film's really about that part, but whatever. You can say that the premise is derivative because again, we just named like 500 other things that have that exact same premise.
Sure.
So it's nothing new or radical. But all that said, like I fucking love the premise. In the scope of like superpowers in stories, I love psychic powers. That's like one of my favorite ones to lean on. So a whole fucking setting where it's all psychic powers and we're rolling with that, I'm like, yes, I can jam on this. And I love how it's rooted in like history and kind of conspiracy stuff with like the secret government agency and the whole like World War II background. Acting is a grand slam almost across the board. Chris Evans kills it. He's super charming. Dakota Fanning, best performance she ever gave, I think. I don't know, she's in that new film, right? Watchers.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see that. But
yeah. No, she's a fine actress.
She's a good actress. Just a lot of the stuff she's done is like not films I'm into, right?
Sure.
So,
or a lot of stuff she did when she was a child.
Yeah.
You know, she was one of those child actors.
But this is great, and they have such a great chemistry together. Like just their bond as like two people in the shit. They've had the same kind of backstory going on.
Yeah, it's definitely the strongest element of the movie.
They implicitly understand one another, but they kind of have that snarky like brother sister like always like dogging each other, but they really have each other's back in the end.
Right.
Super cool, super refreshing. Hansu is the villain. I love him as the villain. He's so imposing. We don't get a lot of his backstory, which is funny because in the comic kind of gives you more, but great, especially like anime style villain of just being like so sinister and imposing, but slight in his impact.
Right.
I like that they kind of cut out the relationship stuff with Nick and Kira. One part because it saves time.
It's the weakest part of the movie.
Second part because one of the other weakest things of the movie is Kira as a character. Don't even really blame the actress for it because it's just like, I don't know, she is a MacGuffin, a walking MacGuffin.
Yeah.
The little like mystery box that you're trying to like do everything on. So is what it is. I think the film has a lot of cool camera work, especially for this kind of film at this time. Love that they went as practical as they could on the effects. I just think it's a really solid, really fun, like anime-ish, superhero-ish film. And it makes me sad that it like bombed out like that it did, because there's so much good I see in this that like other similar stuff in that same category at the time, like this blows those out of the water, but it kind of just gone forgotten. And I think part of it is like, I feel like this film was a little ahead of its time. Because I feel like one of the other big criticisms you'll see when you look at online, like if you go on Letterboxd and like troll through reviews and stuff like I do, a lot of people are like, this should have been like a TV show. Mm-hmm. This feels like the pilot of a TV show. And I think like if it came out like Now Times and it was like a Netflix series or Amazon Prime series,
right,
and it was a prestige level TV show for streaming, I think it would fucking slay.
Maybe.
But its time was 2009, and you didn't have that then really, and came out as this one little film, and they shot it and it's gone, and that's what it is.
Right.
So all that said, I give it 4 stars. Fucking love it. Loved it when I first saw it. It held up for me. I was satisfied.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you on all the things you said. It's Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning, to me, make the movie.
Great.
They're the best thing about the flick. Yeah, the premise, it's kind of a no-lose premise. It's fun, psychics fighting each other. Yeah, okay, I'm down for that.
Can't lose.
But, yeah, I do think it is a little too busy a lot of times. Like, it never really... It's not confusing. The only part I got confused on was
where did you get confused?
when they revealed that Kira was like an agent, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are you having such a hard time finding her? And I actually had to rewind it to catch some of the dialogue because she freaked out and ran out, and they were like not prepared for that apparently. I don't know why they didn't take Nick when he was a kid. If they're after psychic kids, it's like he's right fucking there. We'll get him. That doesn't make any sense to me. I love the Pop Gang. They're the best thing about the movie next to the 2 leads. I wish it had more of that wild, crazy, kinetic style of when like the Pop Gang are using their powers, the bleeders.
I'm going to bet that was a budget thing. Because that's definitely some of their biggest effect moments.
Probably. But that was also like the most fun. The setting's awesome. You can't go wrong shooting in Hong Kong. I like the guerrilla style, shooting. It gives it kind of an authenticity.
And I sometimes feel annoyed when Hollywood films do this, where it's like, let's make a film in Hong Kong and have like all American actors or stuff. But something about, I don't know if it's the composition of the cast or what, but this feels like more authentic here. Like,
right. Well, yeah, they use a lot of Hong Kong, Chinese extras and things like that, so that helps a lot. It's not just establishing shots of Hong Kong and then everything else is a movie set.
Like, what's the one really fucking dumb movie with Bill Murray where he goes to Japan and it's
Lost
like...
in Translation?
Yeah, the only 2 fucking white people in Japan find each other and then...
Yeah, right.
Like that thing, that's annoying. But here it was like very natural.
Yeah. I like a lot of the supporting characters, but it's one of those things... Maybe this would have been better as a TV show because...
I think so.
I would have liked to have... Like, Hook was cool.
Yeah, Hook
I would have liked
awesome.
to learn more about him. Pinky. It's like there's these cool side characters.
Emily.
Yeah, and then they're wasting time with, like, Kira, who... I'm sorry, Camille Bell is the name of the actress, and Camilla Bell.
Camilla Bell, yeah.
She's very bland. I don't want to be mean to her, because I'm sure she's a perfectly nice person, and I'm sure in the right role she would be good. But it's just... She's very, very, very bland in this. And again, also, it's kind of like how it's written, because she's drugged out most of the time, and that's a thankless role.
Like, you maybe could have even just had the case, like, it gets lost there or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need her in it, but maybe.
Right. But yeah, it doesn't really come together for me at the end. I think it's fine. I'm going to give it 2.5.
Okay.
Because I think it's fine. I'll probably never watch it. I could see.
I'm not crying, Jason. It's just, why is it raining so hard right now?
I could see why this movie was forgotten.
Okay, I'll give you that
because I think it's fun. I didn't hate myself after watching it. I wasn't mad at you for making me watch it.
Oh wow! How about that? I found a superhero film that got across the plate. You know what? I'll take that.
Okay, all right.
I'll take that.
And I think they really also shot themselves in the foot trying to go for that sequel. They obviously wanted this to be the next big franchise, and that just, you can't do that with your first movie unless you're like, you're fucking Marvel or something. Right. You're backed by Disney, and there's going to be more fucking movies.
Like, I'm sure even they knew when they dropped Iron Man, they were going to get at least the Iron Man 2,
right?
If nothing else,
right? I mean, a movie like this, I respect the balls it takes, but it's just, it doesn't feel like a finished film, So yeah. 2.5 for me.
Okay.
You won't hate yourself for watching it, but you might not remember it.
Yeah. Which last time I mentioned it was on Tubi. I guess it rotated out, but it was still on, I think, Pluto TV and Freevee. So.
I watched it on Tubi a couple nights ago.
Yeah.
Still
I checked it last night and it was off there now. Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. 'Cause I was going to rewatch a scene and it wasn't
Okay.
on there.
I guess I just made it. Weird.
Yeah. But it's out there. You can get it. The Blu-ray is like bottom barrel, easy to pick up if you want it.
Sure. You could probably find the DVD for like $2 at Half Price Books.
Those bins in Walmart, they're just like old DVDs. I'm sure if you dig deep enough, dig it to the part where it's 2009, you'll find it in there.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, this was fun, and I'm glad we got to talk about superhero shit for a little bit, and it wasn't unpalatable for you. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, me too. Thank you for not torturing me too much.
Come back in a few years when we review King Spawn, though. Oh, yes.
Yeah, right.
Let's fucking go.
Let's see if that actually exists.
What could be a greater union than Todd McFarlane and Blumhouse? Come on.
Dude.
Oh, I'm here for it. I'm so ready. But we got a listener episode coming up next. So we had to dig into the old mailbag. And what did we find? We
found from 1988 the infamous Nekromantik, directed by Jörg Buttgereit. A German classic.
I'm just going to say it here. We'll mention it again next time, but buckle the fuck up if you're going to watch this one before we talk about it.
There's a reason why this always makes the list of like most disturbing movies.
This is extreme cinema. We're going back into. Haven't really touched that as much this year, so good time to get back up in that spot.
Absolutely. And it's streaming on Shudder.
Yeah, so easily accessible.
Yep.
It's got a nice Blu-ray edition that's out there too if you're a collector. If you need to own Nekromantik.
This is one of those movies that it took me forever to find a fucking copy of. And now it's literally streaming. I could watch it on my phone, you know? It's so weird. I had to find like a third generation gray market at a boutique video store.
Like the tape trading type stuff?
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't watch it for a long time because I was kind of afraid to.
Right.
Its reputation has a pretty heavy weight, and so that was one of those ones I was like, I don't need to see this movie. But then eventually,
of course, eventually you have to.
Yeah. Eventually, you record yourself talking for 2 hours about a Serbian film, and you can't go back anymore. So,
nope.
But yeah, join us next time for that. I'm sure it'll be tons of fun.
Fun for the whole family.
And you too can make us watch very questionable extreme films. If you just write in and tell us, hey, I want you to talk about this movie. Whether you love it, you want to troll us, you have a thing you think that's undeserved, needs more love, more attention, another push. Another movie it's got some charm to it, but it fell through the cracks. We're cool to dig into those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can let us know by hitting us up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, or email us at genreexposure@gmail.com. I think, I was debating if I want to talk about this, but I do want to talk about this.
Oh.
If you contact us and we don't reply within 24 hours, it is okay. We will reply to you. We make no money on this podcast. We don't monitor it 24/7.
We do this at our own time.
But we will. We promise we'll get back to you.
We'll get back to you. We promise. We're just too busy, driving fast cars and living fast and
being the best podcasters in the world.
Making fat stacks.
Too big. All the monies. No lie. But all that being said, you've been listening to Genre Exposure.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.